This is Real World Audio and we are exploring phono stages and cartridges. So I give you a basic tutorial on how to match cartridges with phono stages, because if you are new to this, then it's not as simple as you buy a random phono stage that was reviewed favorably and buy a random cartridge that was reviewed favorably, because there's a pretty good chance that they will not work together, that they are incompatible. So now I give you a quick guide on cartridge and phono stage matching, and here we go. So just some facts of the phono life, like in Crimson. So moving magnets. So there are moving magnet and moving coil cartridges. These are the two types. I will not explain it right now. So basically the basic ones that the cheaper, I would say, also the cheaper cartridges in general are the moving magnet cartridges, and because it's easier to manufacture them. Moving coils are much harder to make, much harder to put together, hence the price is higher. And these moving magnet cartridges, they put out a signal of roughly 5 millivolts or so. And there's a specification that this is the signal that they put out, reading a 1 kilohertz signal on the groove at 5 centimeter per second speed. So this does not mean, like in the case of digital, that this is the hard limit of the output of a phono stage. It just means that when the groove was made at a particular depth, then the output of the phono stage, output of the moving coil, sorry, not phono stage, moving coil, I'm talking about cartridges now, it is 5 millivolt, and that's considered high level. Now what the phono stage does is that it amplifies the signal to a line level, because 5 millivolt is super duper low. It's so if you would directly feed that into an amplifier, if you have an ultra efficient loudspeaker, then that's like a conversation level output that you are getting, provided you have enough amperage with that, which the power amplifier will provide. But for regular speakers with regular systems, you will barely hear anything. So you need the phono stage to make it to a level that's usable by your amplifier, and also it needs the RIA correction, which is equalizing the material and removing that curve, the real curve that was placed on the record when it was pressed into the vinyl. I'm not going into that because that would take an hour in itself to explain. Anyway, the phono stage does a correction and an increase in the signal level, so that 1 millivolt at 1 kilohertz becomes 1 volt level. So a typical phono stage will provide between 44 and 46 decibels of gain, and the typical moving magnet cartridge will have an output around 4 or 5 millivolts. So basically, if you have a typical cartridge with a typical phono stage, then the typical standard output for that standard signal is between 0.6 volt to 1 volt. Now it doesn't mean that that your phono stage's peak output will be 1 volt. It's just the standard. The peak will depend very highly on how the record was cut. If it was cut very high, then in this case the output can be like 3 volts coming out from the phono stage, if your phono stage can handle that much headroom, which is another consideration. But you can expect that for most records except the ones that were really specially mastered and cut, this will be your typical output level compared to the 2-volt output of a CD player. So now let's have a look at what people mean when they say phono stage. So the phono stage usually means that we are providing about 44 dB of gain to get moving magnet level signal to line level signal. So basically that around 5 millivolt to about 0.8 volt or so, and that's a 45 dB gain. And this would be, I would say, typical for most phono stages out there. But you always need to double check the exact gain for your phono stage and the exact output for your cartridge, because even though I say typical, you pick anything by random and you can be wildly off. And why is it important to match the gain of your phono stage? And what is it matching the gain of the phono stage to the cartridge? So basically you have to make it so that the output will be about 0.8 volt or so. So if your cartridge has a lower output than 5 millivolts, then you want 44 dB or higher. So basically if you have, let's say, if we drop it by half, then you need to add 3 dB, 6 dBs at least to compensate for the drop. And if you do not, so basically let's say you find a cartridge which has only a 2 millivolt output, and you try to use it with the same phono stage that you previously used your 5 millivolt cartridge. Even though the reviewer said that the 3 millivolt cartridge sounds much better, you will find that with your phono stage it sounds completely anemic. And that's because if the combined output of the cartridge and phono stage drops, then the dynamic level, the dynamic performance also drops. So that's why cartridge and phono stage matching is critical, because it absolutely impacts dynamic resolution. And an upgrade in a cartridge for a higher quality cartridge will be only an upgrade if your phono stage is capable to provide the appropriate gain for it. If not, it will be lifeless, puny sound, and it doesn't matter that it was a $2,000 cartridge, it will sound lifeless. On the other hand, if you have too much gain for your phono stage and cartridge combination, then you will run out of headroom for the phono stage and it will distort, and then you will hear distortion and distorted sound. So that's why cartridge and phono stage matching is absolutely critical. And we will continue from here. Thank you for tuning in. Have a blast listening to records. Bye bye.